on your program, it said we were going to do coyotes. It didn't really say what we were going to do with coyotes. So, everything we trap for processing fur or for damage work or whatever we're going to do with the animal, it's a learning process that probably fits an entire lifetime. And every species of animal we work with takes considerable learning. But it's certainly my opinion that the coyote takes the most of all. We can probably learn how to trap red fox very decently in half the time we spend learning how to catch coyotes. And I've been at this for a considerable amount of years. And I've found that when you deal with coyotes, every time you get it down pat and your hat starts to fit tight, he'll teach you something new to play with. Then you start over and work at it again. But EJ and I have come through this journey quite a lot together. EJ was a student at my first class at the Fur Takers of America Trappers College. And should I tell them how long ago that was?
Yeah, you go ahead.
In 1993. I was a few years ahead of him in the journey, but he did very well at the college, and he continued to do very well, and any experiences I've had with him turned out to be terrific. We trapped together a few seasons. I don't recall quite how many, but everything we did turned to the positive. And one thing I warned EJ about, he's from Iowa, and I warned him that sagebrush is addictive, and he didn't buy that. He kept sniffing it, and here he is. He's moved into sagebrush country some years ago, and I don't think he'll ever leave. But as we're going along here, if you come up with some questions as we go, it'll make it a little easier for us. But we'd like to talk about several areas. We'd like to talk about lure attractions. We'd like to talk about location. We'd like to talk about different types of set construction. The set construction should echo the eye appeal of the lure attraction. In other words, if you make a scent post, not only does the attraction smell like a scent post, the set should look like a scent post. Eye appeal is very important, and the three all together. So we're going to start with some of that, and I'll turn the mic back to EJ temporarily and have him kick that off, and then we'll go from there.
I got it. What Gary said runs deep within my heart. We've worked a lot together on the trap line, off the trap line, spent a lot of time together over the years. For any of you that get the Fur Taker magazine, you know that Gary and I both write articles in it. And this next month, my article coming out should be next month, is one of the biggest frustrations I have seeing coyote trappers, whether they're a student or a friend or Joe Trapper, is they're scared to use a variety of sets and applications throughout the trap line. They seem to get into a cookie cutter method. They want dirt hole, dirt hole, dirt hole, dirt hole, and dirt hole. And in my world, how I conduct my trapping is exactly the opposite. I have a low coyote population, and I need to show them a lot of variety. I don't want them to see the same thing over and over and over and over again. So, once we come into a location, as Gary mentioned, you want to try and figure out why that coyote's there. Is he marking territory? Is he just traveling from one place to another? Is he hunting for food? Once we establish his motive, then we will mimic and present him with the correct presentation. If he's in a hunting area, I want to present to him something that's already on his mind as a baited or lured set that is food orientated, and then make the correct set to present that to him. If he's traveling down the road, comes to a fork, and you see droppings, signs of urination, kickbacks, I don't want to change his mind. I want to present that there's a new coyote here making kickbacks, urinating, leaving droppings. That's what's on his mind already. I don't want to change it. So that's the key, is figure out why they're there. We put down the proper attraction and the proper construction of that set to mimic the attraction, just as Gary said. And I'm not saying that because Gary said it or I learned it from him. I learned that from the coyote. So, this is what we're going to talk to you a lot about: proper location, attraction, and construction of the set. With that in mind, go ahead, Gary.
A set that covers the type of location that EJ just described. A fork in the road. You find droppings, you find sign, you may find kickbacks, so on. What he's doing when he does that is marking territory. Okay? Whenever he comes through that area, he marks that territory again. And he's telling every other coyote in the world that this is mine. You got no business here. A lot of times, if this happens on a boundary between two coyote territories, which it often does, they often follow the same line of traffic, but they won't get into each other's country. You will access two family units of coyotes because they're both coming down the same track. And this calls for a territorial type lure. A territorial type lure is something that will make coyote respond territorially. In other words, it should smell like a coyote. A coyote gland lure or a coyote gland base lure with other support ingredients is the tool of choice for this. And if I'm going to do it, I will apply a healthy shot of adult male individual coyote urine. I prefer that over and above blended urine. It'll cost a little bit more, but there's a lot of urine takers that would be willing to do that if there's a market for it. So it's well worth the effort to acquire that. On this set, you apply about a half a teaspoon of coyote gland lure, coyote gland base lure, and coyote urine. The construction of that type of a set, I'll turn back to EJ and he will demo just exactly what it should look like.
The first thing I want to do when presenting this set to Kelley is I want to make sure he sees it. I don't even want him to smell it first. I want him to see it. So my backing will have contrast with the existing ground. You can always see this white rock here on the screen. It is black there. That's what I want right there. If I'm in sod country, you got grass, I'm gonna use an old certain piece of sod. And then you have all grass, and then that contrast will be that black underneath the root system of that sod. Just remember, contrast.
It's the sod material is unbelievably attractive to whatever coyote's moving through.
This is basically a perfect situation here. The panel on the rise through this area. If you ever notice where a coyote takes a crap, he likes to say, "This is mine. Look, I want everybody to see this." So they'll put it in a very visible area. You'll have a nice swell in the road, or up at the top of the hill of the road, and there's where they'll take a dump. They want everybody to see this is my place. So he marks it. So I like to put mine on a rise like this too. I come into the set. I like a low, small backing. I want something big. I want the females to be able to come over the top and squat over. They have one leg on this side, one on this. So my trap's on this side. You'll catch a lot of females and males by the back leg on this type of set, because you're creating them, or telling them to urinate. If you do your homework and use the right presentation and traction, that's exactly what they'll do. I'm not going to go through the whole thing of setting, digging out a trap bed. Everybody knows the trap needs to be bedded well, solid as rock. But I will tell you my placement for that trap. My placement is my hand width about out from the attraction. The trap is about right there in front of me. Dog at 12 o'clock, straight onto your tracker. That gives you about a 9, 10, 11 inch distance to the center of that pan from your tracks. If you're after fox, which we're not talking about, you'll want to scoot that a lot closer because he's a lot smaller animal. But for coyote, I'm out here about, I've never taken a tape measure and measured, I just visualize it. I visualize the coyote coming in here, lifting his leg and feet, do the same. So your trap's bedded solid, 12 o'clock, out in front. All my chain goes under the trap, everything's under the trap, and my loose jaw will be rested on my stake head. This is the worst part of your trap for stabilization, so I turn it into the most stabilized part of that resting on the stake head. If you use disposable stakes, wad up some of your chain or use your swivel body and get it underneath of that jaw to stabilize that loose jaw. Okay? Just kind of elementary, but it's very important to stabilize the track. With that in mind, after my trail, go ahead.
Just a second. This type of set, what kind of attraction we're going to use on this, probably kill more coyotes than all the rest of the different types of set construction put together. And if you notice this trap placement, you have to mentally see a coyote approaching to urinate on that. They cannot walk between the trap and the deck without stepping on the tank. It's the ideal situation.
Keep in mind, behind me is a coyote's line of travel. It's not over here. If it was, I'd be facing the other way. I don't play the wind direction so much because we have 360-degree winds all the time in Wyoming. Just can't do it. So I always make sure my trap is between the coyote's line of travel and the attraction. He's got to cross that trap to get to the attractor. Once this is bedded and well blended, I want this set to end up like nothing ever happened here. Then comes time to apply my lure, gear, whatever I'm going to use here. When I apply gear, it's not this stuff. The coyote comes up, hits it, and that's it. Matter of factly, he doesn't just go all over. He wants to mark that, and that's exactly what I've done, right there. I used to take my stick, dip it in my gland lure, and tuck it underneath the rock. But I've had some troubles with that. Okay? The coyotes will come sometimes and move that backing. What I've done, went to my little stake hole here. Just put that down there. And then just a little dirt over the top. I don't want to see that. Those odors are still coming out of there. But notice everything is right close together. Between your rock, you got your urine, you got your gland lure, you got the business end up right here. If you have turds you want to use on this, that's fine too. If you have, I wouldn't recommend putting turds on top here, they're going to blow off or roll off. I would tuck the turds right up close. Keep everything right here. And you'll have it. It comes off his line of travel. Whether he smells it or not, he sees it. If he smells it first, that's great too. Either way, he's going to come into this either direction. And he'll end up on the trap. Plain and simple. Any questions so far on the year and type territorial center?
Which way is the wind going?
The wind, the road
Oh,
is behind me going through the building, so to speak. He's traveling up and down here. I take him off of it to here. Don't put your set over there, put it right in front of his face. You can't pull it out. Don't try and do it.
There's no substitute for trap placement. If you're digging up a coyote trap, put the trap in.
Does it?
Make him step over the rock.
No. I want him to cross over the trap. He's, say I'm the coyote, this is where I'm traveling right here. I've got to cross over this trap to urinate on this rock. Make him go over your trap.
What was the question, EJ?
The question was, do I want the coyote to step over the rock? No. I want to over the top of my trap. So put your trap between your traction and his line of travel. Okay?
As this is, and to compliment his answer, anytime a coyote comes from this direction, he may walk over the trap, or he may approach from the side. If he approaches from the side, the urine where it is going to create the urination response. He'll walk through this way, or if he's over there, he'll walk through this way. Whichever approach it is, you have it.
Don't soak the whole rock with urine. Remember, it's right here on this side. Or whatever you're using, if it's a piece of wood, or a post, or a clump of grass, keep everything this side of the trap.
Other question, comment?
I can't hear you.
Bleached animal skull for backing.
Bleached animal skull.
A bleached animal skull,
Yeah, like a coyote skull or a camel skull or a deer skull.
that's getting into a different presentation, which calls for a different attraction. This is a urinating response. If we use a skull or a bone, then we're talking more on the food. And we'll get to that here in a minute too.
A cow pie, a rock, a clump of grass, an overturned clump of grass, a big lump of dirt, anything that's local to the area, chunk of wood.
Any more questions on a territorial desert? The question was, can we do this pre-season to get a coyote used to coming up and peeing on it? I personally don't do that. I don't have the time or the money, and I like it to be new to that coyote.
Why bother? If you're gonna go out here and do that, put a trap with it.
Yep. Any more questions on the urinating territorial response set? Howard? Well, I'm having trouble here with that fan.
Here, I can go over there.
Okay, question. Does the individual male coyote urine spook individuals? Not in my experience.
I first discovered the use of individual urine in the time before the pups disperse, September. And I was in the process of testing urine. The guy that I was working with had a litter of coyotes in a pen, in a kennel, and we can lead them around. He also had a 7-year-old male coyote. I put down 3 different lures that I was working with out of sight of any of these coyotes. We led the pups into sight of these tests, or test sites, I should say. The pups were very cautious about approaching the attraction. They all eventually did, but it took a lot of time, and I think just about anything would have caused those coyotes to spook. We did the same thing in another area with a couple of different words. We took the 7-year-old male coyote out there. And his approach to those lures was, he was dribbling urine before he ever got to it. And he urinated on the spot, just like DJ drew this. We took the same pups, introduced them to those same sets that he urinated on. And the pups just flew out. There was no caution, there was no nothing. They were out to get that attraction. And what I believe I learned from that situation is the alpha male in a family unit that is intact, that is when the pups are still at home, is responsible for taking care of anything that's dangerous. He's also responsible for giving the pups permission. So I believe that that 7-year-old coyote urinating on that attraction gave those pups permission to check it out. He told them, go ahead boys, it's okay. And I've seen a lot of the scenarios like that in my trapping since that happened. We could talk about little incidents like that all afternoon. We don't have that much time, but I'm really convinced that the family structure is such that this is the message we give them by doing that.
Another thing I'll add, I don't ever put just one trap in. There'll be another set. If I choose to put in another urinating response set, it'll be on the other side of this travel way over here, but it won't look the same as that one. This one might just be a couple driblets of urine on a small bush. I won't use the same presentation. I'll offer them the same response. I want the same response, but it'll be looking different. If I change it out, it's one of my best producing sets. It's a very subtle urine set. No more than that right there. They're spent the same. And just a drop of urine, that's it. If I have them the same, there will be different individual appearance, but I'm after the same reaction. I want to be your poo on this. Is everybody following this? You know, some people have start getting too much in their head and say, oh, wait a minute. You said use a rock. You're trying to convey, you can use different factors, making them do the same thing. Variety, even in your urine sense. So much more.
And I try to apply this to myself most of the time. Keep it simple, stupid, kids. That backing will do as well as a rock or any other thing. It's just what you have available. If you feel that you need more visual attraction on this type of set, do you have a call? Draw a kickback after you finish the set.
Everybody sees those kickbacks on the camera, on the TV screen. see the visual appeal of that. That's what every coyote does after the year. They predominant coyotes kick back. They got to put scent pads on their heel pad. And they're leaving the scent all over that. They're really marking it off.
And if I have extra droppings, I put a dropping in the fat end of each of the kickbacks. But I don't do these things if I think I've covered the situation without it, because that takes more time, more less, more everything. But they're part of the trips. You've got to track your animal, put the paw on there.
Maybe covered the urination response to, and also I think we'll move on to, want to do curiosity or food.
We probably should go with food because we're using about half our time here, so. We've just covered territorial attractions, coyotes. And coyotes will not be attracted to a lot of things in a lot of seasons. It takes a variety of food odors to attract them all season. It takes a variety of curiosity type birds to attract them. But whenever the family unit is intact, these coyotes will be attracted territorially to their own odor. So it's more universal, and probably more times in a year than anything else they would be attracted to. Now we're going to talk about food lures, baits. Does anybody have an understanding of what the difference between a food lure and a bait is? I'm not sure I do. The only real reason I can come up with is that with a bait you use fewer ingredients and bigger quantities. But I would say that any set I would make that would accommodate a food lure would also accommodate a bait. I would use either one in that situation. But a coyote changes their diet at least 5 times a year. And what worked very well for somebody in 1 month, 6 weeks down the road, it may not have any impact at all. So we're going to start with the season when fur is newly blind. In my part of the country, that's early October. And a lot of the same attractions will work through October into November, but there's a gradual change as we go. When we talk about bait, we think about a lot of tainted meat. Early October, there's a lot of tainted meat that will have minimal effect. You may catch a few, but if you have a food lure that has things like honey or poultry fat or fruity odor, will do a lot better in that season. And along with whenever we're choice of word is, we're also going to make a presentation where if this coyote is in a hunting mood, we're going to give him visual appeal here that would appeal to a hunting animal. And that brings you back to visual attraction versus odor.
I'm digging the dirt hole here, as you can all see. And then to do that, I like it as deep as I can get. I don't use many dirt holes anymore because you can't dig in the box. If you're in sand, it won't stay, so. But anyway, I dig this dirt hole, bring all the dirt back toward me. I'll be pushing it off here and there, everywhere. I like as deep as you can get it. Foot down. That's a minimum for me that I like. And notice my hole is almost straight up and down. Trap placement to this will be fairly close also. So right up here at the top, dig your trap down. Bring the dirt toward me. Stake it, lay your chain in the hole, bring your trap down. Again, solid as a rock, this loose jaw will be on the top of my stake. Okay? Let dog toward the tractor is 12 Now what will change the position of your trap is the angle of the hole. If you want to dig your holes at a 45, you will need to bring the trap back. Trap placement is based on your presentation of your hole. I want them up close and personal. I want to get clear up here to see what or smell is down that hole. That puts them right on the top of my trap. Any questions? Any disagreements? You can disagree with them. You might do something totally different. I don't offset. Every once in a while my trap may get shifted a little bit. But I'd rather have it like this and bedded well than like this and not bedded. But generally my dog is 12 o'clock toward the traction. Okay? It goes down this hole, presenting there's something in here that to eat. We want to use a food-based lure or a bait. Don't be putting a glandular down there or sending mixed signals. And I never, and I know this has been said many times, you can throw a glandular on the backside of your vacuum. I don't do that. I want him thinking food and food only. Okay? Any questions?
CJ, are you worried if you dig it straight down, you don't correct them or guide them? If the tracks are true to that gate, they'll come in from any side. They come up and get their nose down in there, you don't see their tracks on the side. You won't be able to control them, right? What do you think of that?
What I think of that is he come in on a different wind direction, he might have picked it up with his nose. But if you put that trap between his line of travel and the attraction, he's going to come over the top of the trap. Yes, we all miss coyotes. I'll admit it too. They'll come in from the side or the back. I call names, I leave it, and I go on about my business. I didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. The coyote just didn't play by the rules that day. But if he comes off his line of travel, across your trap, to get in that hole, you're going to have him.
If you have an individual or individuals coyote that consistently come off the side of the track with seemingly whatever the wind direction is, there's other set constructions that will take that animal. He's already got the world figured out. So, this can happen, like DJ said. It can happen anytime he approaches wrong. But if he makes a habit of approaching wrong, he knows something. And need to do some other things to take care of it.
Again, bait or food lure based down the hole. And 99.9% of the time, just a little shot of urine right there. Y'all see that on the screen? Keep it close. That's it.
That was on the dirt, not on the rock.
Correct. Oh, did you hear the question? He said, you squirted it on the dirt, not on the rock. Correct. I put my urine right beside it. Right here, not on the rock, right here on the dirt. They can be this side too, I just happen to be right-handed. That's normally where I hit it.
Is there a reason why not on the rock?
That's just the backing. I want to focus down the hole. There's been another guy over here. He marked it. It's okay to come in, work the set. And all the guys don't need urine at all. If you don't want to, that's fine. I do.
Urine is your secondary attraction. And if he's a young animal that approaches your set, he's getting the message that it's okay for me to check this out because the older one's been here and it's okay. If you're dealing with an older adult animal that's pretty evasive, he will respond to that for territorial reasons. There's always a good plan to use urine for best results. I personally use, and I only use this on food type set or a few times on curiosity, never in a territorial situation. I use urine of other animals. Mink urine is very attractive. And use it just like DJ showed you right here. Bobcat urine can be very attractive. If you're in an extreme situation where you've got that animal, ocelot urine or wolverine urine can turn on that one animal that you can't take any other way. Very often that'll take care of it. But bear in mind, keep that off of your territorial stuff.
Do you have a question? You, anybody?
You use fresh urine every year?
Do I use fresh urine every year? I use fresh every year. I keep it in the freezer until I use it. Bring it out, put it in my squirt bottles. When I get close to getting empty, I pull one jar out of the freezer. I don't freeze my urine in plastic either, it's in glass. And it's fresh. I collect it from my own coyotes I have. It's hard to find good coyote urine, so I started collecting my own. And it's the only way I can get what I want to get the response that I need from these coyotes. Like I said, I trap coyotes in very low population. They're pressured year round by the government. They're going sexually harassed. They have decades of harassment and pressure and reputation throughout the years. So I want the best there is. And I try to do everything absolutely 100% correct. I won't leave a set until it's correct. Get kind of anal about it. If I'm going to put a dirt hole here behind me, I'm going to make another set, food presentation, but it won't look like that. It might be a smaller hole, it might be a bigger hole. It might be some bait tucked under a rock. Don't use the same set over and over again.
If they change your eating habits so many times a year, how do you determine what you want to use as bait and food situation?
That's a good question. Gary, you want to take?
What was the question?
The question was, if they're changing their diet so many times per year or season, how do we change with them to get to offer it to them?
You pretty much have to understand what the coyotes eat at the time you set for them. Okay, if I'm setting early October, my food lures are going to contain things like a fruity yogurt, honey, things of that nature. If I'm approaching the 1st of November and I'm still catching at that set, I will probably use a tainted meat bait. But the tainted meat bait will be mild. It won't be a real wild rank thing. Because they have just now started to really pick up on eating meat. And although I've had the others work very well right into November, it's a gradual thing. The main thing is to be right the first one.
Other questions on food-related type settings?
AJ, what's your finish on that? You want to blend it? You want to rough it?
What's my finished set going to look like? Did you see all that dirt I had pulled out? That'll go back over the trap. That's what I like. There's something dug in a hole there. It's natural for the dirt to be out of that hole. I don't try and blend it back. I don't use any guides. I hope my tractor's got what it takes to get him over that pan. And it usually does. Nothing's ever 100%. If I do use guides, it's very subtle pieces of dirt, small clods like this. Nothing bigger than that. You don't need anything bigger. I don't like to force a coyote at all. Give him an open approach.
Another thing with dirt holes, and these are my absolute favorite. I'm not a big fan of dirt holes in general, but very favorite one is dug in a low cut bank. A cut bank not much over a foot high, but directly horizontal. So the hole goes straight in rather than like this. And with that cut bank there, he has to approach in the proper direction, but the visibility, the eye appeal to those horizontal dirt holes is very good. And if your cut bank is too high, you put a collar on top of the cut bank.
How high do you put your horizontal hole up from the cut bank?
Put it at ground level, but keep your dirt low so they can see.
Try not to make him step up on top of your dirt, go out of that hole, bring the dirt down nice and easy approach for him. I mean, a coyote can walk anywhere he wants, but bringing him into a set, which is, we like to say is keep it as natural as you can, but we're asking that coyote to do something. Yes, sir? The step down third whole set. For me, I don't use them because they're a disaster in my country. They're either blown full of snow or they're, I find some coyotes are reluctant to step down into that deep depression, whether it be 4 or 5 inches. But I can't use them in my country. They're a disaster.
Step down is a lot better tool for fox than it is for coyote.
Young man, any other questions? What would happen if you put grass on top of the trap or the hole? The trap, you could do that in some cases, but it can also plug your jaws up. When your trap snaps, we don't want a bunch of vegetation in there. We want the trap to come through the dirt, clamp on its foot. We've got about 5 minutes left. Do you want to do curiosity, lure, presentation? 2 minutes left. We've got 2 minutes, I guess, just for questions. Yes, sir. Pay attention. It's a good question. I like several pounds. I want that coyote's weight completely committed to that trap and then break through. When I first moved to where I was at, I caught a lot of toeless coyotes. Somebody was out with light pan tensions, and too light a pan tension, you'll have a lot of toe catching. Make that coyote come up, step, commit weight, and break through it like he's on the ice. So several pounds, 4 pounds maybe. I've never measured it with a tester. I've just learned over the years what to use.
The heavier your trap is, the heavier pan tension you can get away with. The weight of the trap has quite a lot to do with that. A real light trap, you have too heavy a tension, you'll move the trap before it springs. So, whatever kind of trap you're using, consider that when you set your pan tension.
Yes, sir. What's my favorite trap? It's the one the coyote's standing in. I use a lot of different ones for different reasons, whether it be economy, but I can tell you this, I use good equipment. There's no substitute for using good equipment. In a perfect world, I'd probably use all FB650s or Sterling 600s. It's not a perfect world out there. You're thievery. You got to consider if somebody's walking their dog, if they could get that trap off your dog. So I use a lot of different traps. I love the 3 double long spring, 3 coil, 2 coil, MB550s. I use a lot of different traps for coyote, but they're all good equipment. They're all rigged good. I have no doubt that my trap is going to hold up to the coyote. And when he's there, that's my favorite trap at that time. Next coyote, that's my favorite trap at that time. So, Gary, what's your favorite coyote trap?
My favorite coyote trap, given all, like he said, situations, is the Sterling MJ600. I feel that is the finest piece of coyote equipment that's made. The only flaw that I've found in the MJ600 is the price. And that can be a flaw sometimes. Because there's places I won't sit for 600s. For several different reasons. One is, the obvious reason is that somebody else going to own it shortly. The other thing is that we use trapped a lot in badlands, dry washes, and when you get snow runoff or a heavy shower, that dry wash can be half full of water. Whatever you had in there would go down the creek. Several reasons. Get a few traps run over every year, and it's no fun to have a $40 trap flat down. But that's my first choice. I also favor the bridge or two for the cost, and it's not as, doesn't hurt as bad to lose one, and they will handle coyotes.
I think we're out of time. But I really an honor to be up here with all you here. Appreciate you coming. It's a super honor to be up here with this gentleman right here. That is for sure.
That works both ways. I really appreciate the accomplishments you've made through your trapping years, and that's what we're here for.
Thank you, everybody.